everybody else doing. Just cause everybody doing what they all do. There's one thing I know, I'll fall but I'll grow. I'm walking down this road, am I this road that I go? So am I wrong? To bring in the week to be something for real. Now am I wrong? For trying to reach the things that I can't see. That's just how I feel. Ooh. Now listen, we're talking all things leadership. Welcome to TCS Consulting. This is our first live broadcast on TCS Consulting, and I'm super excited. And am I wrong for thinking that we can be something for real? But in order for you to think that you can be something for real, you have got to start thinking and behaving like a true leader. Leaders understand what it takes to be something, to maximize, tap into, and unleash your greatness. I love it. Everybody wants to call, text, and everything else. So we know what to do with them, silence them. So leadership, everything leadership. And I am super excited because I have my girl with me today, and she's going to take center stage with me, and I know she's going to own it. And we are going to talk about leadership impact, and leadership styles. And without further ado, Robin Hughes of RHughes&Associates, all things small business and certifications, and so much more HR. I'm bringing with me live. Robin?
Good morning, Marisa.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. It is always an honor to be on your platform. You know how we do it. Like you said, we have to own it. If we don't own it, who else is?
Who else? Somebody else.
Yeah, can't leave with the chance.
If you don't lead yourself, somebody else is going to lead you.
That is
You're
so
either going to
true.
be the leader or you're going to be the follower. And it's up to you, because everyone is not wired or designed to lead on a higher level. Everybody is equipped and have been given everything that they need to lead themselves. But it's a whole different ball game when you step it up and begin to purposely and intentionally lead others. And so we're going to talk about leadership styles. And I just want to give a little bit of background about TCS Consulting. We work with individuals and professionals and entrepreneurs on life strategies, career strategies, and business strategies, and taking their business or whatever it is they want to do to the next level. Our core principles and ideology come from the space of leadership and leadership development. Robin and I, our backgrounds are in industrial organizational psychology. Robin has an extensive background in HR, executive level HR, and she could share that with you herself directly. Robin, share, before we go into our topic of the day, which is leadership styles and leadership impact, give a little background about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Actually been in HR over 20 years, HR, business, being a business strategist, and ended up having some unique experiences. So my background is very, very diverse. Started out as a paralegal, so I have a very strong legal background as well, working for a law school and actually coordinating pre-law programs and working under judges, and had a special license to go in and represent indigent clients, and took that, ended up going into HR at the law school. So did that for about 5 years and decided, okay, what do we want to do different? Now that I've looked at that, I know I don't want to become an attorney any longer. So let's shift gears here, and ended up getting into HR. I always tell everybody, find your niche, okay? Find your niche, find your passion. My passion is always about helping people. So like I said, everything from paralegal, legal, ended up going into HR. It's all about people. So ended up taking that turn and ended up going into consulting after a while. After I did, I served as a specialist and an interim director for minority business enterprise certification. And that's when I got into the small businesses and seeing what they do and help them. So I did that for almost 4 years and ended up being their interim director, helping small businesses to grow and getting in front of those corporate in governmental agencies that they needed to get that certification and get those revenues to grow their businesses. And it's interesting how much money is being left on the table. And you know me, my thing is always, don't leave money on the table. Don't leave money on the table. And so I am very, very, when it comes to that, it's just like, we can't. They put the money out there to level that playing field. So I've learned how to, I was actually thousands of feet in the air on the top of the FedEx Forum Arena when I realized I found my niche. And that was helping minority businesses, small business owner, get that piece of the pie that was set out there for leveling that playing field, whether it be that minority participation program through procurement, the community outreach program. All of it is about diversity and inclusion, which of course still is another one of those hot topics for HR. So I've done, like I said, done a little bit of everything. And you know my background as well. We have a lot in common. And that's why we do so much together. And like I said, just please to be able to do it and continue to do what I do and help people and collaborate with you, because it's been awesome. This journey has been awesome, sister.
And listen, I'm telling folks all the time, we have only just begun. Because remember, I was not trying to do any of this right now.
Oh, yeah.
You and I are working on our PhDs. You are moving along and making things happen. And this was not the path last year that I was journeying on, but God has a different plan. And the biggest thing about not just not allowing yourself to become stagnant is to adjust your attitude. So when things are not going in the direction that you wanted them to go in, the biggest thing for one to do is just listen, be open, embrace where you're going. Be flexible and open, because God can always do some amazing things when you are flexible and you allow him to do it. And so here we are today, and things are flourishing on every end. You're in an alignment with what your calling and purpose is when you are extremely, extremely busy, because then that means that there's a real demand for you, right? There's a real demand for you. And to whom much is given, much is required. That's why leadership, understanding that we are all leaders, whether we desire to be or not, we are. And the most important thing for us to do is embrace that leadership and then learn how to develop the leader within. And so that's what we're here to talk about today. Is we're here to talk about leadership styles. Why, Robin, are leadership styles? Why is it important for us to understand about leadership styles? Why is it? Because for the average person who is not at that place where the conversations are about leadership, the conversations are about followers, subordinates. If these conversations are not part of the norm, how do we reach the normal person, the everyday person, that this is not a part of what their discussions are? How do we get them to understand the value of why it's important for them to understand leadership styles as it pertains to them personally and the impact that their style has on those around them?
Oh, the biggest thing is, first of all, you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. So you have to know what type of leadership skills and styles that you have, because at the end of the day, if you are responsible for an employer's team, you have to be able to lead that team. And I often talk about the difference in managers and leaders. Some people can manage processes, some people can manage people, and then there are leaders that develop and grow people and help them to reach their full potential. That's why it's so important to know what type of leadership skills you have. And it's not cookie cutter. You have to be able to adapt and adjust your leadership style for individuals, because nobody's different. Someone else learned their visual. They have to see everything. They have to see the charts or graphs or PowerPoint slides. Other people might want to see the verbiage, see the written, information. Other people, you can speak to them and they'll get it. Other people won't comprehend that way. So that's why it's so important for you to know, because you have to lead each one of those people on your team. And you have to be able, one of the things I always do, especially being a senior executive HR professional, I've always told them one of the things that I put on their actual for their growth, for a leader's growth, even my C-level executives, they have to select one or two people out of their group or out of their team, and they have to develop those people. And that's actually on their performance evals. That's something we talk about. What have you done? What have you done to grow yourself? What have you done to actually grow your team? And the other thing too is when it comes time for some other promotion or to go, something else becomes available, you should have someone already developed or someone in mind that can come in and actually that you've groomed to take your position. We can't be worried about whether or not somebody, is going to take your position. What you're trying to do is get yourself to the next level. So while you're growing yourself to get to the next level, you grow, also those individuals, your subordinates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's so important. So what I like to do is transition it. So not just only in your professional life, but this is a part of your life, your personal
Right.
life. And so why leadership is so critically important too in your personal life is because when you think about your offspring, your children, or you think about anyone who's under you, younger, the next generation, etc., they are looking to you as leadership. So when we think about community, neighborhoods, etc., we have to conduct ourselves to, once we get to a certain level, even at high school. So when you think about early development, I'm going to push it all the way back. When you think about, listen, because this is what
That's where it starts.
This is where we need to, as a society, get it. We need to get it. So when you have little kids, when you have the toddlers are there to influence influence the baby, right? So the elementary kids are there to influence the toddlers, the kids that have not gotten into school. The middle schoolers are there to be a leader to the elementary school. The high schoolers are there to be leaders to the middle schoolers, and the college kids are there to be leaders for the high schoolers and everyone underneath. And the adults, the professionals, are there to be leaders to everyone that falls under there. So if we understand the ripple effect, that if leadership gets the importance of how what they do, a person does on a regular basis, impacts someone else. We talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is connectivity. It's having the wherewithal to understand, just like you said, to do an assessment of the person who's standing in front of you. Everyone is not the same. So you have to look at them and say, what is their language of love? What is their value points? What's going to make them, what's going to trigger them? What's going to influence them to either do right or wrong? And how do I get them to do what I want them to do repeatedly over and over again? You got to speak their language. And to whom much is given, much is required. That means that you have to know enough about yourself to be able to self-regulate. So for me, as an example, is like I have no patience for foolishness. It's like, okay, and I'm quick. Because even in this presentation, you hear me. Why? Because the clock is ticking. There's so many other things that need to be done. So I have to be highly efficient in what I do and say. And so for me, when I'm speaking to someone, I have to check myself, right? Where am I not as a leader? Where am I not being patient? When am I not listening? When am I not quieting myself and say, oh, Marisa, this is not a time for you to talk. It's a time for you to listen. This person really just needs your ear. They don't need you to intervene. They don't need you to do anything. They just need you to listen. And if you're listening properly, you'll get to know what it is that makes them tick and ticks them off if you are a very good listener. And this is critical, again, across domains. You need to be a good listener in your life. Your children, be quiet and let them talk and hear what they're saying to you without saying it. In your love life, you have to be quiet and listen so that you can hear what they're saying and not what you want to hear. And then you also have to check, like I have to check, am I being patient? Am I being understanding? And just like you said, how are they going to get the information? Do they get it in presentation charts? Do they get it in hands-on experience where you have to actually do the work with them? You and I with our studying, remember you had to show me, Marisa? Because I'm like, okay, we talked about it. Now let's get off. And you were explaining to me how important it is to know you have quiet time during study, but you're still online with each other so that when the next question comes up, you're not jumping back on the phone and now you're looking at it together and you're doing it. So you really do, as a leader, have to begin. If you want to be a highly effective leader, you have to get to know the complexity and the diversity of those you are called to serve or to lead. And so I just want to talk about the different titles that come with leadership styles. The visionary leader, coaching, affiliative, democratic, pace setting, and commanding. And out of the, 6 leadership styles, and these are new leadership styles. In fact, they're, I believe, Goldman's. Just want to make sure I have his, Goldman's 6 leadership styles on culture, the 6 emotional intelligent EI leadership styles. According to Goldman, it is not IQ or skills that make a truly great leader, but a high level of emotional intelligence, connectivity. You have to connect with your people. There are other leadership styles that are out there as well. I think these leadership styles that Goldman has come up with were designed to have a deeper connection with the individuals as opposed to looking at groups of people that you serve, to look at them at on the individual level. When I think of the visionary leadership style, of course, we know that that's the transformational leadership style, right? We know that that's a highly effective. The transformational leadership style is charismatic, it's encouraging, and it's inspiring. Leadership styles or leadership impact should empower people, inspire them, lead them with change, and have them and create a culture or an atmosphere that causes its members to be open to change, because that's a huge challenge. People don't want to change. People are fearful of change because of the unknown, and they want to get groupthink or organizational learning, which means they have a shared vision. They have a shared value of things. And as in groupthink, you can get everybody to buy into the vision, understand the value of the vision, and be committed to the fulfillment of the vision. Robin, what are some of the areas that you see leaders have a gap in their performance and they can be more effective?
Well, a lot of times you look at that, I want to say more or less that bureaucratic leadership style. When you have those leaders that are unwilling to change, unwilling to listen to anyone else, and they want to do what they normally have been doing because they feel it's not broken, so why fix it? That's where you end up losing a lot of employees at. I want to say that's one of the toughest leadership styles to deal with. And I would say, especially, I've been working in construction industry for a long time, and there are a lot of leaders that have that leadership style, and they feel that, I've been doing it 30 years. You need to learn how to do it this way. And if you're not willing to learn this way, then you need to go. Well, that might have been one of your best employees, but because you're unwilling to adjust your style, your leadership style, you're unwilling to listen to the voice of your customer. Listening is so important. Yes. That's one of the big things. They do not listen. It's all about them. You know that it's all about them. So unless they're willing to change, unless they're willing to listen, that old adage, what is it? We say employees leave managers.
Yeah.
They leave managers.
Yes, they do.
Yes, and keep in mind, everything that goes on a lot of times, it hasn't happened from the top or at the top. A lot of times it's happened with that direct supervisor. And unfortunately, though, they mimic what? The C-level executives. Yes. So if you have someone that is not the C-level executive, it starts at the very top. It
Yes.
starts at the top. You have to have an open mindset. You have to listen to the voice of your customer, whether that be internal and external. And I mean, it's all about relationships. It's relationships with your employees. That's why when we talk about leadership styles, you have to be able to coach. Even if you don't feel you're a coach, you have to learn how to coach. That's part of your growth. That's part of your growth. You have to be a transformational leader. If you are not, how are you going to deal with disruptions and be able to get people on the right path?
Right.
How
Right.
do you develop your people? So
Right.
you have to look at all of that. You have to be very strategic. You have to know what the vision is for the company. You have to be able to turn around and you have to know the vision, the mission statement, and people get those mixed up all the time. It's always interesting to listen to people and they don't know one from the other. And
Right.
I've worked with so many corporations and I'm like, that's your mission. That's not your vision. So
Right.
you have to kind of teach them. So unless they know, how can they teach someone else if they don't know?
Right. Right.
And,
Right.
they get. I've had people get angry because I said there's a major difference. Everybody wasn't born to lead.
No.
Sometimes people are just supposed to be in managerial positions, and some can just manage processes but can't manage people at all.
Right, right. And so you hit on a few different critical things, areas. And so with Goldman's 6 leadership styles, visionary, coaching, affiliative, democratic, and pace setting and commanding, it really gives ratings. It gives categories for them. And it kind of really taps into what you said in regards to how they are impacting their followers. So with your visionary, which is the greatest one, and we know it as the transformational leader,
Mhm.
as they motivate people towards a vision. Come with me. That's the approach. It's self-confidence, empathy, and change catalyst. That's what they are. They bring up for they set the atmosphere and the vibe and the energy towards it's okay for change, embrace change. Change means for the better. And so coaching is very critical for leaders to understand. And also coachees have to understand that their leaders are supposed to coach them, because if you are a leader, that means you should know more, or you should be at least a level, or you should have some level of knowledge more than those who are under you. That means you know everything, but it means that you've been positioned to govern over them. So you should be in a place where you want to cultivate and bring them up. You want to, again, tap into and unleash their unlimited potential. But coachees, and I charge this to followers, you must know that the people that you report to have the answers for you, or some of the answers for you, and you need to start pulling on them to give you the answers and to help you. And if you don't know the way, you need to say, I don't know the way, and I need some instruction on how to learn the way. Leadership is required to help with the career development aspects of their subordinates' journey. And a lot of times that's not, and that is a part of the coaching process or the coaching experience that will help develop the people, like you said. And what we call this is a succession plan, right? So when you are building up a talent pool underneath you to, at some point, in case of an emergency, or you get promoted, you need a talent pool underneath you that can come up immediately, step into your position, so the company never feels the weight of the change and guards. So coaching is designed for sub-level succession planning, which companies do not do. They're not cognizant of it, nor do they find it as a value, but they need to. That's why they're being hit in their performance level. And ultimately, when an organization is not performing well, they're not making money well. So organizations need to be more in tune with that and more concerned about, especially today when competition at the low level for companies is expanded beyond control. And so coaching, the leadership style for coaching develops people for the future and suggests, try this. Developing others' self-awareness and empathy. So we have self-confidence already in this. We have self-awareness. Empathy is at both of the top levels of leadership styles. Affiliative creates harmony and builds emotional bonds. So the three top tiers of this leadership style, according to Goldman's, is critical. You need a combination of all of this, is what I'm saying, where it says people come first. So at certain points in leadership, your people got to come first. You got to care. You have to have empathy. You have to build relationships and communication. It's the next three tiers down in the leadership styles. In democratic, it says forges consensus through participation. That's critical too. What do you think is inclusive? So you have to have that leadership style. When you start thinking about all of these different aspects and approaches to leadership style, you have to think about them also in the as it relates to relationships, regular everyday relationships. All of this is important. You need to motivate your friends and family, right? You need to motivate your kids. You need to develop your kids and your friends and family for the future. You need to create harmony with your friends and family, right? So all of this is still, it spills over into your personal life. So if you're a good leader at work, you should be a good leader at home. So this is really, to me, leadership styles and impacts. The way I'm bringing it to the world is like, look, it's a spillover. It goes both directions. That's when you're really bringing balance in. And that's where you see where you can really see authenticity take place, is when you are not on at work, on at home. Now, a little bit of that should blend, right?
Yeah, that's why you have the spillover.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about spillover. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it's very important that you recognize it. You can't be one way and then you flip the switch and you're totally opposite. It just doesn't work. You need to unapologetically be authentic. Be yourself. Be unapologetically authentic. Don't allow someone else to get in there and basically tell you who you are. I tell people all the time, you have the choice in how you react to a situation. If somebody's acting ugly, you don't turn around and you respond in kind. You be yourself, because then when you turn around and do that, and that part goes into your leadership and other stuff as well, because if you respond like that, what have you done? You just given that person control. You just given that person control. They basically dictated who you were going to be in that certain moment. So you don't let people do that. You pray for them and move forward.
You pray for them and move forward.
Move forward.
So at the bottom of this list is commanding. And this is the area that you want to kind of stay away from, unless there is something going on in the dynamics of instruction and following through by your subordinate. You don't want to be who demands immediate compliance unless someone's out of order. So we can't say that this part of leadership is not going to be in effect at some point, because no matter how great a leader you are, there are going to be times where people are just going to be difficult. And so there are going to be times where you're going to have to do, this is the way you're going to do this, right? And the same thing works with parenting or anything else in a relationship, because commanding kind of sets boundaries too. So we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but commanding is at the lowest end. It's when all else has failed and your ability to influence that you get to a place of commanding. You drive to achieve initiative, and it's a lot of self-control. You're very controlling at that point. But some people put you in that position. So if you don't want your leader to be like that, operate in some level, some cooperative level of compliance. You got to comply. And that's what's important too. And so this half hour goes by extremely fast.
It sure does.
Yeah, I tell you,
it always does anytime we get to talk, and you know that.
And it's good. And so the important thing that we've really, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to let Robin kind of share with us some of what she offers through her business, because if you're in business or you're or you need any career advice or anything like that, Robin is here for you. All of her contact information is at the bottom of the ticker tape, and it's just going across, and I'm going to drop it in the comments. If you're looking for some insight on career advice, advancing to the next level, business certifications, by all means, be sure to contact Robin directly, get connected with her, make that connection. But closing thoughts for me, and then I'll let you close us out, Robin, is the importance of just being self-aware, knowing who you are, what makes you tick and what ticks you off, and learning how to navigate and self-regulate around that so that you maximize as many opportunities as you possibly can. And to also be, cognizant and fully aware of the impact your behavior, your attitude, your perspective has on those you come in contact on a regular basis. So leadership style and leadership impact, to me, are very important across the board, across your life, your career, and your business. And so I hope that what we share with you today has been instrumental. Robin, what are your closing thoughts?
I think one of the things, like you said, you need to be that transformational leader and a strategic leader, are two of the main. Always try to get people. I have people I've worked with over 20 years ago that I still stay in contact with, that will call me and say, hey, do you have anything available? I still have contractors call. That tells you what type of leadership style I have. Because when I'm out on projects and I have to, basically sometimes you do have to demand that they do certain things to keep everybody safe. I did my OSHA 30 hour and I would walk my job sites. And, if you weren't doing something right, I was going to make sure you were on point. You have to be, because I wanted everybody to be able to go home the same way they came in. I want them to be able to go home to their families. So it's all about trying to make sure you have that harmony, the respect. Respect is very, very important. Take care of people, have empathy, but also be a strong leader that they can look up to, because they know the difference. I've been in organizations before, and it was funny because I wasn't supposed to be the supervisor, but I went in. And I remember this young lady comes to me and she says, oh, the other guy told me, go talk to your boss. And she said, oh, why would I go talk to him? And he said, oh, I'm not talking about him. They know Robin runs everything.
Wow.
Like, now, what does that say about my leaders had in place? Right. If people are saying, other employees are saying, oh, no, don't bother to talk to him. Go talk to her. We know she's the one that runs it.
Wow.
And it wasn't that I was trying to, it was just that I listened to the voice of my customers. I made sure I took care of my employees. I made sure I knew who I was, because at point, like I said, when you're working in construction, it gets to be very interesting sometimes, because you're dealing with predominantly males, predominantly white males, majority of the time. And they're so used to doing it a certain way, 30 to 60 years. And I've gone in and worked with a lot of companies where I was able to change those attitudes. And it was funny because they use profanity all the time. They would cuss in front of me and they would apologize to me and my assistant that I had there. Never asked for that, but it was just a matter of respect and how we carried ourselves. And that's what it's all about. People are watching you when you don't even know they're watching. Yes. So it's very important that you set the example. You set the example. You have empathy. You make sure you hold people accountable. Accountability is everything.
Yep.
Make sure you are doing what you're supposed to do. You can't tell someone else to do something and then you're not listening to what, you're not doing it yourself.
Right. Wow. I mean, it's so critical. And so, leaders have impact. We all have an impact on others, and our style of how we present ourselves, how we communicate, our way of doing things has an impact, and it tells people how they really want to work with us. And it tells people how we value them. And so being aware of that, fully aware of that, is so important. And so without further ado, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me, Robin. I'm looking forward to our next live and really important the public. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And thank you for those who chimed in and listened in to us. Be free to put your comments in. Leadership's the discussion on leadership is not made on an everyday basis enough outside of organizations. We're bringing this conversation outside of companies and into the common denominator of things so that folks get a wake-up call. If you are a manager, a supervisor, a leader in any capacity that does not have the word leadership in it, you are a leader. It is time, it's imperative for you to be successful that you understand that you have a amazing opportunity to make a huge impact and build a legacy for yourself. Take full advantage of it. And so here you will learn all about leadership impact, organizational development, HR, certification, small business certifications, and so much more. Everything, all things small business and career development. So without further ado, I want to say thank you. We're out. Say goodbye to our guest, Robin. We're out.
Bye.
You guys have a blessed day, and we will see you next Thursday. Same time, same bat channel.